right, on page 317, accountability, sources and uses of data for accountability, as we look under the growth model. It says a major criticism of the way that test scores were analyzed under No Child Left Behind was that there was no comparability from one school year to the next. So the test scores for each year were for all the students in the school for that year. Under No Child Left Behind, the test scores for year one would be compared to the school's total scores for year two. So there wasn't a legitimate way of comparing, or they weren't using a legitimate way. The new approach is to use a growth model, is what they're calling it. And with this model, the analysis of year-to-year test scores includes only those students that attended the school for the time period. So what that means, the accountability question then becomes, did those students who were in the school for a year gain more or less than similar students in the schools? This question is asking about growth and is also building a database for comparing one school to others. Now there's also a value-added model. And another valuation, that's another valuation model. And like the growth model, the value-added model begins by looking at measures of students' growth over a period of time. The difference in the approach from the growth model comes to the perspective for interpreting the findings. Now it says, keep in mind that both models, growth and value added, use technically sophisticated procedures to account for student characteristics such as poverty that can affect test scores. So all of those things are taken into account. It's not just a standard test and everybody is to do the same. In the value added model, as the name implies, the interpretation focuses on whether a particular school, class, or student made more or less gains than the average. When the students of a teacher or school score at a higher level than predicted, then the inference is that the school added extra value. The students were moved. So you would definitely not be on the bad list if you're making that movement. This does seem more of a fair type assessment. I struggle. What if I, as a fifth grade teacher, did not do such a good job teaching my fifth graders, and then you get them as a sixth graders? One of two things is going to happen. Let's say they do really well for me. That means the extent to which you're going to have to help them grow is going to be more difficult. On the other hand, if I'm not an effective teacher and the students don't do so well, then you've got lots of room to improve. So your value added may even be bigger. It's harder to move kids that's already up here. It's harder to move them and show more growth. Remember, the top group and the low group are the two groups that have to move in order to show that value added scoring. So keep that in mind.